Time is running out. There is only one plant left. However, if you can keep her going and the land and weather hold up, Chris Doumit will leave this time, and he means it. He's had enough of working hard on Parker Schnabel's group for years now. For Gold Rush fans, Chris has always been the steady force behind the business, making sure that not a single grain of gold turns over. But how much stress does a person have to handle before they break? Watch as we reveal the real reason why you will always hate Schnabel after Chris leaves. When there is too much Gold Rush, Chris has been the team's quiet hero for years. Other people have come and gone, but he has stayed working long hours and doing hard, back-breaking work that not many people could do for a week. But the stress is too much when 3 plants are always on. Parker wants to get 10,000 ounces of gold this year. That means there are no breaks, no room for mistakes, and no kindness for the people who are making it happen. One of the team members with the most experience is not only worn out by the constant stress, it's killing him. Now that we've said that, it's clear that Chris is under a lot of pressure. It's a lot worse than anyone thought. Everyone will be shocked by what comes next. He's been through hard times before. When he first started out, he didn't want to be a gold digger. But somehow he became one of the best workers in the business. He not only adjusted, he did great. Parker's business became one of the most efficient in the game thanks to his careful work in the cash room. But one man can only handle so much. Some people are tougher than others, and now one of Parker's most trusted team members has finally reached his. Even worse, Parker isn't really helping him out. No one on the group is able to take it any longer. What did he get when he finally spoke up? A weak attempt to make things better. He only wanted some help. He needed someone to help him with his huge amount of work, but every idea he put forward was turned down. The few people who could help were either too busy or needed to be somewhere else. While he was almost threatening to leave, Parker finally gave in and asked Tatiana Costa to help out. A short-term fix for a problem that is much bigger. And let's be honest, it's just a wait. It's not just one season being hard. The issue is more complex. Parker is so focused on setting new goals that he has turned his mining crew into machines. The gold is what's important, not the people who are looking for it. The truth is clear: the work keeps piling up. It will only be a matter of time before more team members lose it. He knows what's going to happen. He has been around long enough to know when things are getting bad. Parker can be happy about getting a lot of gold, but at what cost? Is it really worth it if the people who work on those numbers are tired, unhappy, and ready to quit? One of the team members who is always there and works hard has finally had enough, which should sound the alarms. It's hard for the people to take. He has been there for years, and his going means more than just one person is leaving. It shows that Parker's way of doing things might not work in the long run. Can a team really keep going like this year after year? Or is this the start of the end? His journey on Gold Rush is one for the books. He wasn't from there, but he learned everything on the job and became famous all by himself. Because he was careful, dedicated, and hard-working, he was an important part of the team that couldn't be replaced. But nothing stays the same forever. Even the best people have to leave when the pressure gets too much. Parker Schnabel's gold mine business has been run by Chris Dozer for more than 10 years. Now, though, things look bad. Each season of Gold Rush has a new fight, but this one is the most important one yet. Will he be able to get through the hardest part of his life? Or is one of the most important people on Parker's team about to leave? It's never easy to mine for gold, but this season is pushing the limits more than ever. It's known that Parker wants more gold, more work, and more results. Even though he's been in the middle of everything and kept things going, one man can only handle so much before something breaks. It's not just a word to be tired when you're digging for gold in harsh circumstances. Even the toughest worker could be made or broken by this fact. He wasn't a worker who had no plans to get dirty and rich. Everything changed for him when he got a job making a cabin for Greg Ribber's family. This put him in touch with the famous Todd Hoffman crew. After one thing led to another, he was digging in the dirt instead of cutting wood. It looks like he was made for the gold fields. No trouble with hard work, long hours, or back-breaking work. He quickly learned it and didn't complain, which Parker would come to value more than anything else. Chris knew something had to change because everything was getting too heavy for him. But it wasn't easy to decide to leave one of the biggest gold mine teams. Unknown hero of the gold room, Chris made a move that changed his job after working for Todd Hoffman for 3 years. In Season 4 he switched teams and joined a young miner who had big goals and an even bigger drive to break gold records. It was risky, but it paid off. Chris quickly showed his worth and became one of the most trusted people on the team. Chris was always the person who could get things done. Running the gold room was one of his most important jobs. That's where the magic takes place. The last step is to sell the dirt for money after all the digging, hauling, and cleaning. Chris doesn't just look for gold, he makes the process better. If you lose even a small bit of gold, you could lose thousands of dollars. He keeps an eye on things and keeps the gold count high, often getting back almost all of the gold that was handled. Mess-ups cost a lot in this game, and Chris makes sure they don't happen. But you need more than just technical know-how to be a gold miner. It's also about making it. The hours are long, the conditions are harsh, and the work is hard. There is a lot of worry and anger, and people sometimes feel like the machines are against them. That's where Chris really shines. He's not just a worker, he holds the crew together. Chris steps in to calm things down when anger gets too high. If the team is tired, he cracks jokes to keep things light when things seem impossible. He helps keep the miners from going crazy under the stress and is the link between management and the workers. Even though the boss is in charge, he knows that he needs people like Chris to keep things running. With Chris's help, I've been able to handle everything from gold cleanups to broken tools over the years. It's always Chris's job to figure out what's wrong when things go wrong in mines. That was never more clear than when a huge risk was made in Season 15. Big Red, Roxanne, and Bob's plant are 3 huge wash plants that are all going at the same time. Their goal is to pull out 10,000 ounces of gold. It was a brave move, but Chris was under a crazy amount of stress. The amount of work was unbearable. The gold room turned into a constant battleground, and Chris had to work hard to keep up. He almost broke. It was true even for the boss. Chris had too much work to do. For the first time, people really thought about whether Chris could even keep going. He had been working hard for years, even though he was tired. But this wasn't like that. It wasn't just another tough season. This couldn't go on. It all came to a head: the worry, the hours, and the constant need to be perfect. To keep Chris from getting too tired, extra help had to be brought in. That moment proved how important he was. The whole plan was in danger of failing without him. Now Chris is an adult, not just a kid. Everyone knows him from Gold Rush. His journey from being a builder to an expert on gold shows how determined and tough he is. People love him because he's real. He doesn't put on a show or make things hard for the cameras. He works hard and is better at what he does than most people. As the boss always aims for bigger and better gold counts, Chris is the one who makes those goals possible. The plan would not only slow down without him, it would fail. But can he keep this up for much longer? People can only handle so much, even Chris Dozer, who is very tough. It's not a job to mine. People die because of this way of life. It never stops being tired. The stress never goes away. And even the strongest guys break sometimes. Each season gets worse. Every year people have higher hopes. Chris is at the center of it all. His bag holds the weight of a whole gold business. What's going to happen if Chris finally has enough? Chris's loss would mean more than just a change in crew. It would be terrible. Things would never be the same in the gold room. It wouldn't be as accurate to clean up. One of their best leaders would leave the group, and the boss would have to work hard to fill a role that can't really be filled by anyone else. There are many kids, but only one Chris Dozer. He's been keeping things together for years, but now the walls are beginning to fall apart. He's been put through more stress than ever in the last few seasons. Chris shouldn't be asked if he can keep going. But if he can, he has already shown that he is trustworthy 100 times. When does a man decide that he needs to quit his job before it tears him apart? Chris turned into a famous miner, but he wasn't always that way. His skills led him in a completely different way before he dug for gold. From being a handyman to a gold miner. Chris Doumit's life didn't start out as a gold miner, and it didn't look like it was going to become one either. In the summer of 1951, he was born in Portland, Oregon. On his family farm, he learned how to work hard. Even though he had to get up before the sun, get his hands dirty and deal with stubborn machines, he enjoyed it. It was where he trained. What he learned then was how to fix things, figure out what was wrong, and most importantly, never give up. He had no idea that those skills would lead him to a life he had not planned. He didn't follow a straight line, instead he made his own. He worked as a builder for more than 25 years, putting things together from the ground up and learning patience the hard way. He was good with more than just wood though. He was also really into guns. He wasn't happy just collecting guns. He became an expert in them so much that he taught the local police how to shoot and how to keep their guns safe. He knew a lot about that subject because it wasn't just another side job. Finally, a new chance came up out of the blue and he didn't pause to take it. In 2010 he is on the job. No big deal, just another gig. He could build a cabin for Todd Hoffman's mine crew because he was the right person for the job. That's it, right? However, the project that was meant to last only 10 days grew into something much bigger. The more time he spent with the workers, the more interested he became in what they did. What began as an interest quickly turned into real-life experience. 10 days turned into 5 months before he knew it. The carpenter was no longer an adult in an instant. In the gold business, it didn't take him long to get comfortable. That he stayed with the Hoffman crew for 3 full seasons showed that he wasn't just a guy with a toolbox. But then something changed. When season 4 came around, he did something big. He joined Parker Schnabel's team. Parker, who is known for keeping things under control, saw something in him that worked out. He wasn't just another worker. He knew how to fix things. Someone you could depend on when things went wrong. Whatever had to be done, he did it. Whether it was fixing broken tools or doing the heavy work. People who work hard like that are recognized, and it made him a legend in the mining world. His story isn't just about work though. It's about getting back up after a bad day. In 2016 he had a lot of trouble when his truck and some important papers were stolen. It's bad enough to lose your car, but when it comes with a bunch of other issues, it's a nightmare. Even so, he did what he always does. He kept his head down, worked hard, and moved forward. He didn't have time to think about the things that went wrong. He had to dig for gold and lead a group the right way. He was thinking about more than just mining though. His mind was already making up another plan that had nothing to do with gold. He chose to turn his love of cigars into a business because he had always loved them. The Doumit Cigar Company comes in. This was more than just a side job. He was putting his name on something he really liked. He could meet people outside of mines by selling cigars, which showed that he could do well in more than one field. He never stuck to what he knew, which is different from most people. Family was the most important thing though. Over 40 years had passed since he married Sharon. That's longer than most people stay married, let alone keep a job. But it wasn't easy for them. Sharon was told she had cancer in 2016, which would have been hard for any family. He was there for her the whole time. And in July 2017 her treatment was over. Sharon wasn't the only one who won when she beat cancer. To show how strong their friendship was, they did that. Even though mining might have tried his strength, what he and Sharon went through together was much tougher. He liked simple things when he wasn't looking for cash or running a cigar business. He liked to fish, play golf, and make his own wine. Something he can do to relax after a long day of work. Unlike many people who get tired of trying to be successful, he was able to keep everything in check. That could be why he's been able to play for so long. Some people just let life happen to them, but not him. He fights back. Parker Schnabel was not a normal kid. He grew up in the middle of it all and learned to work hard and be ready to do anything to get ahead. The gold miner who didn't turn around. Parker Schnabel's youth wasn't like most. He was born on July 22, 1994 in Hannes, Alaska, and grew up in a place where gold digging was always going on. His family ran the business they were at. As a child, he was right in the middle of things because his grandfather John Schnabel ran the Big Nugget mine. He was learning how to drive real trucks while most kids played with toy trucks. He was covered in dust and sweat before he even had his first real job. By the time he was 5, he was already working as a miner during the summers.
For them it wasn't just a game, it was a full-on obsession. Put away your crayons and training wheels. He worked with big, dangerous tools that most people would be afraid to touch. It wasn't just family land that the big nugget mine was. It was both his yard and school at the same time. He learned a lot from his grandfather, who made sure he knew everything there was to know about the business. At times high school was hard to handle. He went to Hannes High School and worked as a miner while also playing basketball and doing his school work. He wasn't any player. He was on the varsity team and worked hard, just as hard on the court as he did in the mine. But his mind was always on gold, even when he was playing games or doing well on tests. School was just a bonus. The main goal was to mine. He was already thinking about how to dig deeper and get richer while everyone else was worried about tests. The big choice then came: go to college or work in a mine. A lot of people his age were applying to college and worried about dorm rooms and degrees. Not him. That money was meant to pay for his school, but he put it right into his mining business. That's right. For him it was all or nothing. He put more money into the family business when most kids were still trying to figure out what they wanted to do with their lives. He was brave to do what he did. He didn't want to waste time sitting in class when he could be digging for gold. He was already in charge at Big Nugget Mine when he was 16 years old. It would be weird for a youngster to be in charge of grown men, some of whom had been mining longer than he had been alive. That was his truth. He wasn't just given a business. That's because he proved he had the skills and guts to keep the mine going. He was digging for gold in the ground while other teens were flipping burgers. The stress was real, but he never gave up. It was then the cameras came. In 2010 he was the star of Gold Rush on the Discovery Channel. That's not all the show was about. It was about how rough and dangerous it is to look for gold in Alaska and the Yukon. He wasn't just another person trying to get rich quick. He was the young star who was shaking up the business. He became well known because of the show, but it didn't change how he did things. He was still the same pushy, no-nonsense kid he always was, but there were more people watching. He changes the rules of the game, not just plays it. He kept going even though everyone else was happy with what they had. He put all of his money back into the business. Better places, bigger tools, and riskier digs. He never did what was safe. It wasn't just about getting gold. It was about getting more than anyone thought possible. He was always on the move, looking for the next big score because he was so hungry for success. It was no longer just about Alaska though. What did he want? A lot more. He didn't just take it easy and count his gold. He went out to find new problems to solve. That's where Gold Rush Parker's Trail came in. He didn't just mine in the normal places, he went on crazy trips to some of the hardest places on Earth. There was more danger, excitement, and gold on each trip. It was proof that he wasn't just a lucky kid who got rich. He was a major player in the field. Parker has never forgotten where he came from, no matter how high he has risen. Everything he does is still shaped by what his grandfather taught him. The lessons he learned at Big Nugget Mine shape every choice he makes and every risk he takes. His work ethic, his never-ending drive, and his failure to settle are what set him apart from the others. He doesn't just want to mine gold, he wants to be the best at it. Parker Schnabel is pushing his team too hard. Is this what it takes to get more gold? The hunt for gold that almost broke them. Parker was after something crazy from the start. 10,000 ounces of gold was a huge amount that seemed impossible. Parker doesn't set small goals though. To get it done, he turned up the heat by running Bob's plant, Big Red, and Rock Sand all at the same time. It seemed like a great idea on paper. It makes sense that more trees would mean more gold. That's not quite true. Behind the scenes, the crew was being pushed to the limit, and Chris Doumit felt it the most. One thing is for sure before we start. Behind the scenes, things were a lot more serious than anyone thought. This isn't the only thing that will amaze you. He's always been the one in the background who makes sure the gold keeps coming in. The work became almost impossible this season though. The slush boxes had to be cleaned out so that not a single bit of gold got lost. This had to be done non-stop for 3 wash plants. That is not only hard, it breaks my back. The man wasn't getting any younger, and working non-stop was wearing him down. We shouldn't have to do things we don't want to do in a way we don't want to do them because we're in a hurry to get ounces out of the ground. That makes me angry. Even the biggest guys have to know when enough is enough after giving it their all. Have you been following Gold Rush for a while? You know he doesn't like to complain. This season though, he had no choice. Either speak up or break down. And no amount of experience could change the fact that he had too much work to do. It had to get better. The team didn't have enough people. Parker also wasn't going to take anyone off a machine to help out in the goal. He was in a tough spot because of that. Tatiana Costa comes in. She is one of the best players on the team, but you wouldn't normally see her with the goal. He said her name as a possible backup, and Parker had to decide what to do. Mitch and Tyson didn't want to lose her, but they had to, or they would have to watch him leave for good. Parker's agreed in the end. Tatiana was learning how to do things, and finally she had some extra help. But was it too late or too little? The stress didn't go away even when there were more people in the gold room.